Coming up, the cost of inflation hits 9.4%, the highest it's been since the 1980s.
This is the ITV Lunchtime News with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good afternoon. The price of items we buy every day is rising at the fastest rate for 40 years. It's driven by energy costs, food costs, and the price of petrol up a staggering 42.3% in the last 12 months. Inflation now stands at 9.4%. Well, in a speech last night, the Bank of England governor pledged to tame inflation, no ifs, no buts, and to act forcefully if necessary, meaning higher interest rates could be on the way. Well, more on that in just a moment. But first, our correspondent John Ray has the latest. Our economics editor Joel Hills is at the Bank of England for us this lunchtime. Joel, it is the bank's job to keep inflation stable. So what can they do about it, or have they lost control? London Fire Brigade had its busiest day since the Second World War as it dealt with several wildfires, the worst of which destroyed homes. Major incidents were also declared in South Yorkshire, Kent, Norfolk, Suffolk, Leicestershire and Lincolnshire. And the extreme heat yesterday continues to cause delays and cancellations to rail services. There were no direct trains running from London to Scotland, and although some services are running again, damaged tracks and wires are causing problems as well. Ian Woods has been following the situation all morning. So, Ian, what's the latest?
Well, yesterday...
Ian, thank you. Well, for more information on the UK heatwave and the latest weather forecast, head online to itv.com/news. The funeral of cancer campaigner Dame Deborah James is being held this lunchtime. Now, almost 3 years after his first Prime Minister's questions, this lunchtime Boris Johnson has appeared at his last. Between then and now, there's been a general election, a pandemic, the war in Ukraine, and a series of scandals that eventually ended his time in the top job. Well, the focus of the MP sitting behind him is now on who will replace him. Mr Johnson said that is not something he's been following particularly closely. Well, our political correspondent Carl Dinnan reports. Boston will host the next award ceremony for the Earthshot Prize, the environmental award founded by the Duke of Cambridge. Britain's Jake Whiteman is now a world champion after taking gold in the 1500 metre. The 28-year-old looked stunned as he crossed the finish line in Oregon after taking the lead on the final bend. Also stunned, very proud was his mum watching in the stands, and his dad Jeff, who is also the stadium announcement and had the honour of calling his son to the top of the podium. Faye Barker spoke to Jake at the post-race party. And finally, one lucky lottery player in the UK has claimed their record-breaking £195 million in the Euro. Lucky them. That's it this lunchtime. The evening news is at 6:30. The news where you are follows the weather. But from everyone here, bye-bye. Hello again. Now the main stories in London, and in the last hour a fire has broken out at a high-rise tower block in North Woolwich, the fire on Manwood Street. Well, meanwhile, in the wake of yesterday's wildfires, the London Fire Brigade said it was their busiest day since the Second World War. The boyfriend of a young woman whose body was found in a suitcase has appeared at the Old Bailey accused of her murder. All Thameslink and Great Northern trains have been cancelled following the extreme heat yesterday. The funeral of Dame Deborah James is taking place this lunchtime. The podcast. All right, the weather now. Here's Sally. And that's it from me. See you at 6.